Do you post a link?
Welcome, everyone. It's the oh god, what a terrible opening. Lost my shit. It's the SCB Steelers Podcast presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated.
Are you sure?
Of South Florida. I am sure. I started off like the Steelers. Not well. Anyway, yeah, hey, welcome to the show and welcome in everybody that is joining us live. And thanks for joining in. And the Steelers are 1-4 after that ass kicking last week, I guess one could call it. Quite frankly, I'm surprised it wasn't worse, as I just lost Mr. Ben Anderson. I don't know where the hell he went. That might be the quickest exit from the show ever. But be that as it may, Joe is in. Hey, Joe, welcome aboard. And let's see, I think we have Burner is in. Good evening to you, sir. And yeah, it's good to have the gang all back together. Here's Ben right here. There we go. I
don't know what the hell just happened there.
All right. Well, let's get right down to it. I'm going to ask you.
That opening earlier was coordinated by Matt Canada, by the way.
Well played, because that's exactly where I'm going, and why the hell not, Ben? I'm going to start with you. Can you name anything good about Matt Canada's offense?
It doesn't get the quarterback hit as often as Bruce Arians' offense used to.
Okay, a good positive statement. All right, Ryan Scarpino, can you name something good about Teryl Austin's defense?
Wow.
It's really talented.
It's worth a lot of money.
Levi Wallace's interception last week against Josh Allen prevented a 40 burger. But no, Levi Wallace is a pretty decent corner, and sure, it was a nice moment for him, but I have to credit coaching to that. It looked like he definitely studied his tape, and I'm sure his coaches got him in that position, and he recognized the coverage, and he recognized he had a one-on-one, and recognized he had an opportunity. So I'm going to give credit to Teryl Austin on that.
Very good. And Ian, can you name anything good about Danny Smith's special teams units?
You left me with this one?
Yeah.
All right. Well, they made a tackle on the very first play of the game that, in theory, gave the defense a chance to, keep the Bills pinned deep and set the offense up in good position.
Yes.
In theory.
You actually went right where I wanted you to go. If it weren't for Danny Smith, the Bills would have started at like the 35 instead of the 2, and we likely would have held them to a shorter touchdown.
Yeah, I was going to say, so they
65 yards.
Yarder instead of a 98 yarder.
Holy shit. Oh God. Anyway, welcome aboard, everyone. Real quick, what's everybody drinking tonight, since I see Ben pouring himself one? Ben, what do you got tonight?
Uncle Nearest.
Very good. And Scarps, what do you got tonight?
Just some Yingling, some Bearskis.
Oh,
Yingling,
very good.
some dinglings.
And Ian, what do you got going tonight?
I've got some Penn Brew Oktoberfest in my very faded out Pittsburgh Penguins Stanley Cup champions mug that's from 2009. So it's somewhat held its design over time, but
And I just realized that I've made an epic
Ian hasn't been
mistake
drinking that much yet because he didn't call them the Penguins.
The Penguins?
Hey, the Penguins.
Later on, when he gets a little bit loopy, he'll be calling them that.
The Penguins scored more tonight than the Steelers did.
Yeah, no, dude, that was embarrassing.
Is there anybody that we could borrow? Maybe. I do. Yeah.
Mike Sullivan is the head coach of the Penguins and is also apparently the Steelers quarterback coach.
Right?
So,
is he going to start calling plays this week? Who the hell knows? That might work, but anyway. And let's see here. Well, I'm going to put Joe on blast right off the bat here. Joe says, I'm vehemently defended Canada last year, gave him a shot until now. He can go to D3 football. As for drink, he's
Joe's
drinking
drinking
Coke.
a Coke.
Okay, well, all right.
I told you Canada sucked, Joe.
Well, yeah. So let okay.
The coordinator, not the country. Let's be diplomatic.
The country
here.
too.
Somewhat,
The country
somewhat.
sucks
The
too.
country
Very
too.
nice people.
Damn
That's
it,
right.
they are very nice people.
I
I'll
tried to
say
be
they're
nice.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So last week, I thought Canada's offense, that first drive, I thought it had some positives. It was getting Pickett out of the pocket, pretty easy reads, quite frankly, just throwing those little comebacks. But after that, nothing. I mean,
you've got a vanilla offensive scheme that was simplified even further for a rookie quarterback.
Absolutely,
and they figured it out within the first drive. I mean, it was awful.
It's the same shit.
Over and over out of the
yes.
same formations, over and over and over. It's like a high school quarterback could have run that shit on Sunday.
Yeah, I typically I don't like those types of comparisons, Ben, but you're not wrong. That's what it looked like. It looked like a high school type offense where, hey, I got this young QB in here. I'm just going to roll him out. If it's not there, he tucks it and gets some yards. You know, that's it. So Ian, this week, do we expect him to do the same thing, or do we expect that he'll build off some of those things, which is often the sign of a decent coordinator, which is to build off things?
Well, here's where I'll start. The offensive line has actually gotten better with each week, and small, incremental, but still
but better
improvement. Yeah,
arrow being up, and that is the important part.
Right.
Yes. That said, Vita Vea is an absolute monster in the middle. And if they're not rolling him out, he's going to eat Mason Cole for lunch, and Pickett's going to get his ass hammered.
Cole hasn't practiced all week, though.
Okay,
Correct.
well, J.C. Hassenhauer is
yes,
okay.
I agree. I'm just saying.
Way,
Hassan Saucer.
Saucer.
Whoever he faces out of those two, he's going to kick the shit out of him.
Yes.
So rolling Pickett out in this game is actually probably a good idea more often than
Agreed.
not, just to get him away from that interior pass rush.
Yeah, I agree. I just every time I watch Canada's offense, it's like it starts here and then it just goes down.
And I think to Ben's point, that's because the defenses figure out what they're doing.
Sure,
and stop
absolutely.
It, you know? The other thing too, looking back on this game, like the receivers got to give Pickett some help, right? Deontay Johnson's had 3-4 balls hit off his hands this year. Some were from Mitch, some of them were from Kenny, but
right.
he's getting paid $17 million a year. You got to catch those balls, right? Like Chase Claypool, you got to catch the balls that hit you in the hands. Like at this point, just like George Pickens, good things happen when they throw him the ball. Like you put it anywhere near him, he's going to probably have a shot to catch it. He's got a very wide catch radius.
Right.
I think Najee Harris's injury is worse than they're letting on that it is, and it's still hampering him. But he's also sorry, I'm answering all your questions.
You're fine. You're fine. Go for it.
All right.
Good rant.
Najee's also trying too hard. He's overthinking it. He's trying to do too much. Maybe some of that's like PTSD from last year when he had a guy in his face 2 yards deep in the backfield. But Jaylen Warren, like we've said all year, runs decisively. Sometimes he's decisively wrong, but sometimes he's decisively right. And when he's decisively right, it's a big difference from what Najee's doing of just dancing around behind the line and not getting much yards. So, we'll see what they do. I don't know. It's in shambles right now.
It is.
It's not pretty.
No. And I want to go back to something we talked about several weeks ago when we were, Trubisky was quarterback and I wrote about this, for the site and I know it's almost juvenile to suggest it, but I really, really believed it. And the fact was the offense needed emotion. It needed a spark. It needed something. And I thought Pickett would provide that. And I think when he came into the Jets game, he did. The way guys talk about him in the huddle, Jalen Warren talked about him today real positively. A couple of the linemen have talked about the fact that he knows exactly what he's doing, exactly what he's talking about. He knows exactly what everybody's supposed to be doing, and he has no problem telling them. But when you watch on film, the offense and granted, we got down early, so I get it to a certain extent. I mean, Chase Claypool's walking around. I mean, literally, if he doesn't get the ball, he stands and he looks at the play.
Yeah.
And to me, so it's not just about what
it's a huge departure from what he did when he was a rookie.
Absolutely. And so what it speaks to me, and I'll shut up here, is that it's not just you don't like what the guy's doing with the offense. You hate it so much that it's affecting how you actually perform just from an emotional standpoint. And I think that's a big part of it too. And when you step on the field like that, you're already kind of beat.
This team ain't circling the wagons. Like this is
it's messy. They sure aren't.
And the offense seems dejected.
Yeah, well, the cracks started to show early in the year when you had, receivers throwing up their hands. You had them arguing in the huddle. And some of us was like, well, maybe it's Mitch, whatever. But hi, Steel Son.
Steel Son dropping off a beer.
That's a good son.
Nice.
You trained him well. Those cracks have only gotten a little worse as time's gone on. And now you see, like, Claypool just being lackadaisical about things. And, it's bad all around. We thoroughly got our ass handed to us in all four phases of the game. I'm including coaching in that too, because the disparity in coaching and game planning was astounding.
Yeah, Ryan, would you play Pat Freiermuth this week, knowing that he's had 3 concussions in 20 games?
No, I know it's only game 6. But you have to start thinking long term here.
I agree.
And I understand that it's been 11 months since his last concussion. But as we've seen lately, with Tua, however that was handled is not my business, but if you really care about head injuries and whatnot, put your money where your mouth is, and that would be to not play him this week. Is it just optics? Is it just marketing? Or do you actually really care about a second-year tight end that's actually pretty good, and him and Pickett seem to have pretty good chemistry? Is throwing him out there when you're 1-4 against a team that it doesn't matter if Muth plays or not, they're not going to win this Sunday. So what do you really
I think we know how Ryan's going to pick at the end of the show.
One quick thing go back to Pickett. That's all well and good that that he has, he's fiery and he has that, he has that, that personality and moxie or whatever. They still didn't score a touchdown last week in garbage time. Like
I can't argue that.
And I know his receivers weren't helping him out, but like you couldn't even get a sympathy 7 on the board.
Nah.
Like
Bill's defense was committed last week, and the Steelers' skill position players, from what I saw, really were not.
I thought they played lax in the second half. I mean, they were banged up as it was, and I'm just like the whole time I'm just it'd be nice to see him throw a touchdown to just in general for the offense, and it just never happened.
And the Bills were without Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, Tremaine Edmonds, all 3 out, and yet we
and they were hyped.
Yeah,
they wanted that win.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
Isn't it interesting what depth and talent does?
Right?
Oh man.
And what game planning does.
Yeah, that too. Yes.
We were out one safety and a corner, and we're playing a couple other backups here and there. And the Bills' philosophy was, let's throw the ball down the middle of the field and see if they can stop us.
Right.
Whereas the Bills were down 2 starting safeties, and our philosophy was
and a middle linebacker.
a middle linebacker, right?
Pretty good.
And our philosophy was let's ignore the fucking middle of the field because it doesn't exist.
Right.
At least past 10 yards down the field. So yeah.
It was not.
I think we owe Mitch an apology to a certain extent.
Really? Why?
I just think that Kenny Pickett has made some decent throws, but Mitch made some decent throws when he was playing. I'm just saying that, like, you can only do so much in what the system is, and that's why I think it was. Again, I think we actually owe Ben Roethlisberger an apology more than Mitch for last year, because the only reason the Steelers made the playoffs last year is because of Ben,
right?
Because he had that knowledge, he had that veteran.
We've been talking about that for a year.
So like, you look at this team, and again, Pickett hasn't done anything. Pickett's better than Mitch. Pickett hasn't done anything to make me say he's not going to be okay. But like, again, I just, this offense is just garbage, and the coordinator and the head coach, everybody's culpable, because you know what? Part of being when you're a coordinator, you need to put your players in positions to succeed, and you're supposed to be creative in doing that, and you play to their strengths.
Correct.
And I just don't understand it. Like Calvin Austin might come back soon. In Canada today was like, oh, I don't know where I'm going to put him. And, he's missed some time or whatever. And I've said this on the show. I don't necessarily think that Austin is going to be this amazing player, but like, I mean, that's your job, buddy, to figure out out where he can go, and I'm not saying you have to tell us the game plan, but like, as much as Tomlin acts arrogant during those press conferences, Canada's starting to annoy me too. Like he's like, just looks like a dumbass,
Well, it would be nice to see an offense that actually schemes to get certain players in positive situations, because we see that against us all the time. Where you take a receiver who, let's say, is normally on the outside, and they scheme him to get in the slot, get locked up on somebody that has no business being on him, and they take advantage of it. We just don't do that. So Ben,
you mean like those times they had Robert Spillane covering Stephon Diggs?
Yeah. Oh God.
Yes, exactly.
How the fuck is that ever a thing? How? Why are we still using 3 linebackers on third down?
Well, okay, so let me ask you, Ben, what's the alternative to that? What would you be doing differently instead of the 3 linebackers? I know what I'd be doing, but
I would match personnel on personnel. I look, they signed a couple of man corners in Levi Wallace and Akella Witherspoon, and they put them in zone. Okay. That's the first thing I would do is match those guys up in man. Even if it's off man, it's man. Mm-hmm. And I would have guys going, okay, you got this guy. If he moves, you move with him. I don't know what the hell just happened. My computer.
You're good. Okay. We see you.
You're good on our end, buddy.
All right. Okay, I'm back. I would not match inside out, as they seem to be doing again last week.
Outside in.
Excuse me, outside in.
Yeah.
I would, if you've got a running back out wide, you put a linebacker on him. If you got a wide receiver out wide, you put a corner on him. Yep. At worst, you put a safety on him, somebody of Minka's caliber. Mm-hmm. But I mean,
or Trey Norwood, who's actually decent at covering
in coverage, but he's a little small
and a little soft on the tackling. But go on. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's okay. It's fine. I would match personnel for personnel. I wouldn't do what they're doing now, which is they're trying to match personnel to a zone and then apply pressure, which they're not getting.
No,
they're not getting any fucking pressure.
No,
that's the problem. This is a pressure scheme. It's dependent upon getting pressure, and they're not getting it.
And here's
they're trying to blitz and get pressure that way, and the blitzes aren't getting home. That 98-yard touchdown, Minka was blitzing on the play and didn't get there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We had one singular quarterback hit the entire game. One on that play.
Yep.
So Allen took a smack and threw a 98-yard touchdown. I would exchange a smack for a 98-yard touchdown.
Into the wind, too. Into the wind. Oh, my God.
He's got a bit of an arm. Yeah.
He does. He's got a cannon. Prime Ben, at least faster.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, though, is sometimes we are bringing blitzes, but we're only ever bringing 4 guys. Like it might be 4 guys off the edge, but it's still only 4. Like they're not overloading. They're playing safe on the back end and playing zone, and it's only ever a 4-man rush. And,
right, but they're overloading one side.
Yeah, but still, when that doesn't get home, you're still playing zone behind it, and
I think I would go back to more traps and stunts and get away from what they're doing now. Obviously Cam is going to be doubled on just about every fucking snap.
Yep.
It is what it is.
Yep.
They're going to have to just accept that and move forward.
You mean Aaron Donald?
Yeah. Okay. Whatever. Anyway,
you don't like when I give him shit for saying that.
I don't care. Honestly, my point is just that there are 4 rushers. One of them is going to get doubled every time. Somebody's going to have a one-on-one. That guy's got to win. So they got to put him in a position to win. Long story short, somebody's got to get some fucking pressure if they're going to keep running this bullshit zone behind it. And why not mix up the fucking coverages? Or at least
that would be refreshing.
Disguise them before the snap instead of running the same crap over and over and over and getting burned on it. Why?
It's got to be laughable around the league.
I would think.
I mean, seriously.
I mean, Ryan was talking about this earlier, and I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant here now too. But
let it roll.
Mike Tomlin is culpable for this shit because this team is they are between a rock and a hard place right now, and Mike let them get there. Okay, on offense, you got a coordinator who is in way over his depth, way over. He's completely out of his depth. It's awful, and you can't fire him, and you cannot fire him. Because if you do, you're putting your rookie quarterback in an even worse position because he's going to have to learn a new offense in the middle of a fucking season. Things are going to get worse, not better, as a result of a change. If they suddenly fired him and installed Mike Sullivan, it would get even worse.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
You have to, at this point, you have to build on what you've got, and then at the end of the year, assess the situation. And please, God, fucking fire him.
Fire both coordinators, to be honest.
Right. Well, that's kind of where I was going.
Okay, sorry.
If I were Mike Tomlin, I would make an example of someone, and I would fire someone, and that person would be Teryl Austin. He isn't making adjustments. When he does make adjustments, he does so too late. He obviously can't get any pressure, but he continues to run a pressure scheme anyway.
Mm-hmm.
With a zone covered scheme behind it. He needs to switch to a cover scheme and try to get pressure second. He needs to take away the easy alleys to throw the ball and get pressure after the fact. But he's not doing it. I don't know why. He seems to think he's got the horses, but he doesn't have the team depth to do that.
No.
He's got it. Mike Tomlin has another guy behind him in Brian Flores who can step in tomorrow and be the DC. Mm-hmm. That's where I would go. And I would also, frankly, I would bench a few guys. I would pull a Jimmy Johnson, or I would cut some guys. I mean, Johnson was famous for cutting guys before the fucking plane took off to come home on road games.
Yeah.
Drop the ball, cut.
You're right.
Miss a pick, cut. Bye-bye.
Is it to that point where an example has to be made?
In my opinion, yes. And it's not like it should be more along the lines of tough love. It shouldn't be like disciplinarian, Tom Coughlin, fuck you, you're out of here, bye-bye.
Right.
After the game, Tomlin was like, he was asked point blank that, and he was like, basically, we're
no positions are safe.
Yeah,
he made 0 changes. Now, I kind of get it this week. He's got a whole bunch of walking wounded. It's very difficult to cut somebody and stick somebody new in there when you got a bunch of guys like that. But fuck, it can't get worse. I mean, honestly.
No.
That was the most uninspired performance, especially by the offense, that I've seen from this team since like 1998, early 99. When Cowher kind of didn't really have control of things. God, it was fucking awful. It was terrible.
It was, remember, because we're watching him right now because he's Carson Wentz. The Carson Wentz rookie year, 2016 in Philly, they lost 35-3. I remember it was like week 3 or whatever in September at Philly.
Yeah.
And we're talking, it was bad on offense. Marcus Wheaton dropped the touchdown early on.
I gotta kill
and it was just, but like, here's the other thing about that. That team also had pretty good players, right? You know, you got your AB, your Le'Veon, still Marcus Wheaton. Heath was still there. Actually, was he, or did he retire? I can't remember. Anyway, that team went to the AFC Championship. But that's the thing about, I'm looking at this team, and
Yeah,
they might have a couple names, but
right.
Here's what I say. It happens to even really good teams. You have a shit day, but you're right, Ben. That was just like, it was just awful. Like it was just like, and you knew once they got down by 2 scores, it was done. It was done.
So, Ryan, since I know you're dying to go off on this anyway, Arthur Millette, what'd you think of that after the game?
Well, I could give Steel Dad if you need to do a certain.
I do. The glasses are on, baby. So that means I need to tell everybody about DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code TPPN. Get $200 in free bets if your team wins when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's code TPPN. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. So get that app, get signed up, make some bets, and when you lose, don't blame me.
Hey, you guys know if they still sell these shirts in the Strip?
I've been there a while, but probably.
I was down there and I didn't see it.
Oh, well,
I didn't see it, but that doesn't
kind of
mean
past its time. He's not with the Patriots anymore.
Right. Scarps, you were in the middle of a little Arthur Millette comment after he reportedly got a little pissed off at the nonchalant attitude of his teammates following their ass kicking.
Yeah, I've told this story on the show. It was the 2014 preseason game at Philly, and the Steelers just got destroyed. And Troy Polamalu ripped everybody a new one on the sidelines, and it was a preseason game. And I mean, and he's calling out you're Cameron Hayward, you're from Ohio State, you're Lawrence Timmons, you're from Florida State. He went down the line, it's pointing at everybody. Troy was pissed. I'm not saying Arthur Millette is Troy Polamalu, but in a preseason game, Troy saw a little too much fuckery and was I don't care if it's preseason. I know we're getting our asses kicked, but we're still the Pittsburgh Steelers. So if that's a preseason game and it takes a Hall of Famer to get on your ass, what's that say about you when Arthur Millette, who's played for about a quarter of the teams in this league, tells you that you got to want it more? To me, that's a huge deal, and I commend Arthur Millette. I think he's my new favorite Steeler, and I said that they need a lot more voices like that in that locker room.
Yes.
And the last one that they had was Ben, and Ben is gone, and Ben was the bridge between the winners, and they call them the old guys, the winners, and this new regime. Cam wasn't there yet, and I don't know necessarily if it's fair to say Cam has to do it all, but maybe somebody a little bit higher on the totem pole than Arthur Millette needs to step up and say something. And maybe that should be the head coach.
I mean, Cam almost seems resigned to the fact that they suck.
He's changed. He's changed. And for better or worse, I made the comment that he compared himself to Aaron Donald when no one even asked him. He's different. He's a little bit different. And I don't know if that's his his agent or his people in his corner.
I contend he's in the same spot where Ryan Clark was towards the end of Ryan's career.
Yep.
He saw the TV cameras. He knew he had an opportunity. He's starting to prep for it. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's bad, but Ryan Clark's play definitely dipped. And he's gone on to have a very nice media career. And again, we could be having a completely different conversation if TJ Watt doesn't get hurt, because Ryan, Cam wouldn't be getting doubled all the time.
Ryan really was at that point in the twilight of his career, in fairness.
Yeah, he was.
And I hope that Cam is not in the twilight of his career, but he is 33 years old.
Right. Which I tend to believe he's much closer to it than even he thinks.
I agree.
Yeah, honestly,
depending on where the Steelers draft next year, truly, taking a defensive tackle in the first round might not be a terrible idea.
When you look at it, Ben, you're talking Cam at 33. I have to believe Tyson Alalu's done this year.
I agree.
You know,
he looks done now.
He's done right now.
He's a role player.
He's got,
Tyson's a role player.
Knows.
Although I have to say, Tyson, when he's not playing that many snaps, I thought he's been more effective.
No, yeah, I think he's the classic.
Larry Ogunjobi's on a 1-year deal, so you can't count on him coming back.
And he's hurt.
He's probably he's hurt right now, but he might be looking to get paid at the end of the season.
Yeah,
he's played pretty well when he's been in. So yeah, I mean, the lines need help.
Yeah. What do you make, Ben, of the way that they're using DeMarvin Leal right now?
I like it. I like it a lot, actually. I'm not a fan of him dropping into the flat. That scares the shit out of me. I don't like that when they make him do it. But they are doing a little bit of that with him, and I like when they are using him as an edge player.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty good at setting the edge, and as a pass rusher, I think he's a better option than what else they've got at this point, which is not much.
No.
I
agree.
Depth there is shit.
Yeah, I like what they're doing with him. I think it's creative. I think they're trying to put him in situations where he can be successful, especially as a rookie. But I agree with you. I don't want to see him dropping at all. That may have been just a phantom drop where they're just like they were expecting him to rush, instead he dropped to take away a lane, and that's fine. That's fine, but as far as like him like tailing a running back, guy ain't TJ Watt. I don't want to see that. Ian, have you seen enough of Devin Bush?
Nice.
I mean, yeah, I have. He's not going to be on this team next year.
No.
Miles Jack has shown some flashes, but the problem is that if you take Bush out, who are you replacing him with?
No, I agree 100%.
You're not putting Spillane in. Well, they would fucking put Spillane in because they're idiots. But
you're not wrong, man. You're not wrong.
Honestly,
that got me. That was good.
Honestly, okay. Like, if you're at the point where you're like, okay, this season is lost. Let's just see what we've got, right? Kind of. As much as I hate to say it, but like almost like when a certain baseball team is like, let's just play the young guys and see how they do to see if we have anything here. But not like the Pirates, because the Pirates would trade all those guys away.
They did that for 162 games, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe more like the Rays or something like that actually, plays their young guys to see if they have anything and then like goes and wins. But at any rate, put Mark Robinson in. Like, why not?
He hasn't even had a hat yet.
He hasn't even had a hat yet, but like, give somebody else a shot. Somebody that's
Robinson must just be a bad special teams player. That's the only explanation I can come up with.
Yeah, I don't know, but
maybe he doesn't know the calls or something too.
At the end,
Devin Bush doesn't even know the calls.
At the end of the roster.
His dad calls in. His dad calls into local radio shows to defend his kid.
Sorry, Bush's dad does.
Yeah, that was earlier. That was earlier this year. Like he got into it with like Paul Zeiss. I'd be like,
of all the shows to pick, you picked Paul Zeiss.
Devin Bush Sr. was
called in and fucking chewed out Paul Zeiss.
Yeah, like they were arguing. Devin Bush's dad was arguing with like local media guys on Twitter.
How did I miss this?
And then Paul Zeiss like invited him on the show, and like, and Devin Bush's dad was basically saying like, "You have no idea what you're talking about. You don't know what my son does, and you've never watched." He might have used the "you don't know ball." I hate that. That's my least favorite thing on Twitter. You don't know ball. Yeah, you don't remember this? That's why I said the other night.
I remember the Twitter thing. I don't remember the
Zeiss had him on the show.
God, fuck! I gotta look that up.
I have a broader
really
point on the
entertaining
defense too.
Yeah, go ahead.
and I mentioned this on Slack, but I want to say it on the show to put it out there for everybody. That remember back
It was last year, last November. I apologize. Last November.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
Still.
Remember back in like 2012, 2013-ish, it was one of those years where like Lamar Woodley got hurt and some other outside linebacker got hurt, and we had to move Lawrence Timmons out to outside linebacker basically because we had so many injuries.
That
yes,
was
I
I think that was 2011.
Yeah.
That's about right.
Yeah, somewhere in there. But I remember Dick LeBeau saying that he didn't want to do it at first. He basically said my hand got forced because we had so many injuries, and he's the only other guy that's ever played out there. But LeBeau's like, I don't want to move him because I don't want to weaken us at two positions, right? Like Timmons wasn't as good at outside linebacker as the starter, obviously.
Right.
But you'd also, by moving him, you'd also be having a backup inside linebacker. So you'd have a worse outside linebacker plus a worse inside linebacker. And LeBeau's point was, I'll take my chances with one backup on the field at outside linebacker and Timmons playing his natural spot inside versus, essentially two backups on the field. But what the Steelers did, what Teryl Austin did, and I'm specifically pointing the finger at him against Buffalo, was he tried to put Minkah Fitzpatrick in Terrell Edmonds positions, like sending Minkah on a blitz on 3rd and 8 from the 2-yard line. That, Minkah is your center fielder. He should not be the one blitzing. Like, if you want to send a safety on a blitz, put Miles Killebrew in the game and let him blitz. Yeah.
That's a great point.
Don't send Minkah, your best center fielder.
I think they did that because they didn't think that the Bills would be expecting Minkah to blitz. And they probably didn't expect it because he got close, but Josh Allen's also really, really fucking good and saw it and got rid of the ball.
He is. I'm just saying that might go differently if it's Minkah Fitzpatrick and not Trey Norwood back there.
I agree.
Later in the game, Minkah had a shot and Gabe Davis ripped it. He almost made a fantastic play to rip that ball out of Davis's hands, and then Davis took it back from him. But so maybe yes, maybe no. Minkah, and I'll say this too, Minkah was battling an injury. He was limited in practice most of the week. So, maybe they were trying to protect him, not make him run so much by putting Norwood back there and letting Minkah do more of the strong safety role. But like, just looking at it and watching it, I was like, they moved Minkah to strong safety essentially and put Norwood in as the other starter and basically weakened themselves at two positions instead of just,
That's a good observation.
But by
playing a backup
token,
at one.
Trey Norwood would be a horrible strong safety.
Oh, absolutely.
Honestly, don't know why they didn't just say, Miles, we know you're not very good in coverage, but you're okay against the run and you can blitz.
Yeah.
You're going to start at strong safety this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not against Minkah coming off the edge once in a while. I think that's fine, but I would prefer that in rundowns. I think he's better in those situations rather than let's say the situation that he was in. That's just my perspective. But this team, by the way,
best pass defender blitzing. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. The way to sum it up. Yeah. The team is banged up, guys. We are looking at the secondary.
Holy shit!
Cam, yesterday none of the starters practiced. You had Sutton.
Steel City Blitz tweeted that earlier. I should.
Yeah. And I think a couple of them were limited today. I think was Minkah back at all today? No practice for Minkah today. So tomorrow, as Mike Tomlin says, tomorrow will be our guide with him. There it is. I mean, it's a mess right now.
Yeah. Sutton, Witherspoon, and Minkah, none of them practiced. Matt Cole, Larry Ogunjobi, both did not practice.
Sutton's definitely out.
This is not good. Why? Well, really? Sutton's definitely out, the hamstring?
They said that earlier this week. I think Tomlin said it.
Okay, and Witherspoon's a big question mark right now. He's probably doubtful.
You're looking at arguably a situation. Well, not arguably. You're looking at Tom Brady coming in,
Throwing against Josh Jackson again.
Yeah, throwing.
That
against,
was Josh Jackson comes in last week, plays one snap, gives up a touchdown.
Where's this Brady guy from? He's what, a first-year guy? Rookie?
Brady? He's been around.
Oh,
Journeyman. Journeyman.
You know what? They're not
Yep.
that good. Bucks aren't that good.
Oh, really?
So by saying they're not that good, they're only going to score 31 against us instead of 38.
They're not that good.
Well,
The real Devin is going to have a huge
the real
game.
Devin, the one I wish we.
Devin White.
Yes.
Devin White.
What's the spread this week anyway? Does anybody know?
It's like 8.5.
Yeah, I know it's over a touchdown. I know that. And I think some of that's just because we're at home.
I would say too. Sorry, Steel Dad.
Well, the one thing I did want to talk about, Ben brought this up in Slack, was Deontay Johnson. The drops seem to have returned. Not that they ever 100% went away, but I think he had a period last year where he was significantly better. What are we attributing this to? Is this just a guy who's always had some questionable hands, but because he was such a great route runner and whatnot, you look past it? I mean, what in the hell is going on? He's missing very catchable balls. Okay. Ian, what is your take when you watch him?
I mean, I think he's been frustrated all year, but like he had 13 targets last week. Like it's not like he's not getting the ball thrown his way. And
True.
Pickett's actually a fairly accurate passer. So I early in the year when Mitch was only throwing him like 4 or 5 balls a game, I was kind of like, okay, he's frustrated. He's out there, his concentration's dropping off, and he's just not on the finer points of the details. What did AB say the one time in Oakland when he got the ball knocked out? He was like, I was lax on the tuck or something like that.
I was talking about a fundamental point of catching football.
But I think that's it. I think it's the fundamentals just aren't there, and some of it might be the mental aspect of he's not mentally sharp because he's frustrated with the play calling, and he's angry about that. So he's thinking about, well, this is a stupid fucking play, and then the ball comes his way, and he's like, oh, I got to catch this thing now, and doesn't he's not solely focused on reading the play, reacting. He's thinking too much, and he's got to just catch the fucking ball. I mean, he can't have the ball hit off his hands, and then, I mean, this is what, 2 weeks in a row there's a ball hit his hands and then got intercepted because it bounces straight up in the that's the other thing. When he was dropping balls, dropping them straight down doesn't hurt you.
Right.
Having him hit you in the hands and then fly up in the air 20 yards where a safety can just be like, thank you very much. That's a completely different story.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Ben, what do you see anything in particular that I mean, you would say,
first,
Deontay,
I think we need to give this guy some credit for the fact that he works his ass off at his craft.
He does.
Okay, so he's tried to avoid this problem, eliminate this problem, and he's not doing enough. And, he is a guy who will catch a ball one-handed in triple coverage with 2 guys hanging off of him, another guy behind him, and then drop the routine throw for God knows what fucking reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the routine throws are when he's going, okay, this is easy. And he loses focus for half a second. He loses his concentration, doesn't look the ball in, catch it before he runs. He's looking to make a play. He's trying too fucking hard instead of just catching the ball. He's trying too hard to make a play. The first thing you got to do if you're going to make a play is catch the damn ball.
Yeah.
So he needs to try, I think, totally speculating. I want to make that clear.
Sure.
To make the act of a catch 3 parts. Catch the ball, tuck the ball, now look for room to run.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's looking for room to run before he catches.
I think so too.
Because It's the easy ones that he fucks up.
Yeah.
The super difficult catches, he's laser focused and he makes them. What the fuck?
Yeah.
So he had 500 plus yak yards last year. He has 30 this year. He's 30. He
30.
had 8. He caused 8 broken tackles last year. He's caused none this year. He's averaging 1 yak yard per reception. I mean, this is like I hate to say it. I know we hate throwing short of the sticks, but last year you throw short of the sticks, this dude gets you like 8. You know what I mean? Like he was that good. And to me, that's what he's not. You're right. That's what he's not doing this year. He's making these, acrobatic catches. Yeah, he's had some drops. He's had trouble getting his feet in a couple times. But to me, he's dropping or just missing on some of the easy throws where normally he's getting 8 to 10, and this year he's just not doing it.
Well, does it go back to what we talked about earlier about just the complete lack of creativity, the lack of getting guys in positions to be successful?
Guys are not enthusiastic about this fucking offense, clearly.
No.
Yeah, that's one part, but I also think it's a lack of Ben. It has to be weird.
Ball placement.
Your rookie year, you had Ben for about a minute, and then you had to deal with Mason and Duck, and then you get Ben, and then it's Ben's last ride in the fight, and it's like now it's like Mitch and Kenny with Canada dry.
I mean, there is a lot to be said for the quarterback and where he places the ball, and him giving his receiver an opportunity to make a play after the catch.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to be said for that.
Agree.
And I'll give you a real quick example. Years ago when quarterbacks were taught about throwing an out route, the idea was to always throw the out ahead of the receiver so the defender couldn't get it. Okay. Well, now there are times when the quarterback is supposed to throw it to the hip of the receiver. So now that the receiver can catch the ball and then naturally generate some momentum as he turns upfield. I mean, that's how intricate things have gotten. And just to your point, that the way a guy throws the football is a huge deal for these receivers. Even if a guy is used to catching it here and all of a sudden it's here, it's a big change in hand placement, and it's something that is going to take some time. Maybe he hasn't totally adjusted to, especially when you're dealing with 2 different quarterbacks. I don't know.
Other thing I want to add on that point too is that Mitch took all of the first team snaps from OTAs all the way through training camp into the season, right?
Yeah.
So Kenny is naturally going to have a better chemistry with the second team guys, the Pickens, the Boykins of the world that he's been practicing with since OTAs, right? Because I guess Kenny started as the number 3, and then he kind of supplanted Mitch as the number 2 during training camp or whatever. Mason. Sorry,
Rudy.
Yeah, forgot he was on the team. Surpassed Rudolph as the number 2.
Side of the cross, really.
R.I.P. Mason.
But
he
never
didn't die, but his career did.
But nevertheless, the starters spent almost all their time with Mitch because they were trying to work in with a new quarterback. So Claypool, Deontay spent all this time working on timing with Mitch, and now 4 games into the season, Kenny's the starter. 5 games into the season, Kenny's the starter, and it's like, we've barely had him throw us the ball. So there's some of those little things that get worked out, but you still got to catch the ball when it's thrown to you. We're paying you $17 million a year.
At the end of the day, it's still just football, and you still just have to execute the routine plays routinely, as Tomlin likes to point it out. And the guys that are really fucking good do that.
Yeah.
And the guys that aren't don't.
Yeah.
And as you just pointed out, and as I like to say, if you want to get paid like a star, you got to shine like one. And right now, DJ ain't doing it.
The passer rating when targeting DJ this year is 46. It's the lowest on the team. 46.
Hey, Ryan,
that is some poop staying under pants. What's up, Ian?
Do you know what a passer rating is if you just spike the ball every play?
57.8. I don't know.
It's 39.6. But
oh, okay.
okay. But still, my point is, like,
It's just as
passing to
bad.
You guys are
DJ.
pulling stats out of your asses tonight.
I mean, that's legit though. I mean,
Passing to DJ is only slightly better than spiking the ball every play.
that's just absurd. You know, but again, I said this earlier. I think we wanted Ben to be more receptive to Canada, but now
Sure.
we're really seeing what Canada is. And again, like I know Ben wasn't probably the easiest to work with, but like,
No,
oh man,
Ben knew this offense was bullshit.
Yeah,
That's why
like-
in the fourth quarter games last year, he just went,
Yeah.
fuck this. We're not running that. That's dumb.
Right.
Deontay
We're running this.
definitely.
That's why
misses
he would
Ben
come
the
off
most.
the field in red zone situations and throw his hands up and go, what the fuck do you want me to do? He makes me run this shit.
There is so much becoming clearer about the 2021 season the further we get into 2022.
And
You
all
know.
you assholes who defended Canada last year, and it wasn't just you, Joe, there were a lot of people, and the year before when he was the quarterback's coach, oh, it's going to be great. He's going to add a new dynamic to this offense. He's going to be fantastic. He fucking sucks. He sucks.
I thought he would. I really did.
I thought he
you know,
sucked.
Well,
He coached at Maryland.
I don't care where he coached. He
Um,
sucked.
What year did he coach at Maryland, Ryan?
It may or may not have been when a certain head coach's son was looking for a scholarship.
I'm just saying the guy's fucking terrible.
I'm being a dick,
I mean,
but that does line up.
That is what it is,
The
Ryan.
timeline lines up. No, that's exactly it, right?
It is what it is.
If you want to call it a conspiracy theory, I'll put on a tinfoil hat. I'm just
Yeah.
saying Matt Canada was the head coach at Maryland in 2018.
Interim.
Interim
Yeah.
head coach,
Yeah,
but
right.
still the head
Interim, yeah.
coach, which was also the year that Dino Tomlin, son of Mike, committed to Maryland. And Dino Tomlin only had 3 D1 offers. It was Maryland, Pitt, and Iowa State. Everything else was FCS schools.
Right.
So I'm just saying that there's
if
some
I'm Dino
connections
Tomlin,
there.
I don't go to Pitt.
I'm just
Fucking
saying
way.
there's some,
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah,
at
right.
Boston College now. I think he transferred, but nevertheless,
I would also say too that Matt Canada's best year came in 2016 at Pitt, and Nate Peterman was the quarterback. And that's all you need to know that you're not going to transition well to the NFL, because John Gruden's like, I tell you what, man, I like this Peterman guy. And he was terrible. He was shit. And Kenny Pickett is so much better than Peterman, and Kenny Pickett's going to be fine, but that doesn't mean you're going to bring the guy that was once good at Pitt. I said this the other day. At some point, you actually have to conduct a search and cough up some money to bring in a guy.
Absolutely.
You can't keep hiring family, friends, buddies, former players. Somebody that hits you up on TikTok or Instagram. It's like, I know what I'm doing.
We've talked about this privately. Okay, so let's just put it out there.
Put it out there, baby.
Why does Mike Tomlin seem to struggle with, and I know we're speculating here, why does Mike Tomlin seem to struggle with good offensive hires? He doesn't really seem to have any issue with getting guys that are good defensive coaches, but offensive coaches to date have been pretty weak. Now I like our new tight ends coach. I like him a lot, but I don't know that I like anybody else that Mike's hired.
The only outside hire from Tomlin that has become an offensive coordinator in this league is Harold Goodwin. And Harold Goodwin was hired as an offensive assistant.
Mhm.
And I think I can't remember where Goody's at now. But okay, good for Goody.
did you see this
good.
play that Justin Fields?
Yeah,
just
I'm
made?
watching it right
sorry,
now.
that was-
Yeah, good for Goody.
ludicrous.
But Todd Haley was 1,000% an organizational hire because they needed to salvage Ben Roethlisberger's
And he was a good
career.
coach.
Yes, I agree. And he definitely saved Ben's career because Ben was getting hit a million times. But Bruce Arians was already on Cowher's staff, and Tomlin retained him.
Mhm.
Randy is a buddy. Okay, Randy was a buddy.
He was the Arizona or Arkansas State guy. Yeah.
Keith Butler, a buddy. At Memphis or wherever. So I had
okay,
and then Munch.
Keith Butler. A bunch of teams tried to hire away,
but Keith Butler was also on Cowher's staff before. Tom.
I get it.
Yeah.
He was, and a bunch of teams tried to hire Keith Butler away while he coached for the Steelers as a DC. So he was sort of the defensive coordinator in waiting. And I understand that given the circumstances. But yeah, I understand the connection. I understand what you're saying. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. But then Munch had just gotten fired by the Titans.
Great hire.
And and they're like, "Oh, do you want to come here?" And he's like, "Oh, I get to work with Marquise Pouncey, Marcus Gilbert, David DeCastro, Kelvin Beachum, and then you're going to sign Alejandro Villanueva. Oh, sweet. Sounds good. But no, Mike Tomlin also hired Sean Kugler, who's actually still pretty successful. But anyway, the bottom line is you're right. Overall, there's nobody knocking down the door at the Steelers facility. Nobody's knocking at the door at 3400 South Water Street saying, Mike, you got so many innovative minds.
Since we're talking about the offensive line, because I talk to my friends about this offline. The problem with the offensive line right now is three-pronged, okay? You've got turnover with the coaches. So they're playing for a different coach every year. You got no consistency at all. None. So you got guys that are learning a new thing, new techniques, new hand placement, new everything 3 years in a row. They haven't used any high draft picks on offensive linemen. And by high, I mean like first, second rounders in 10 years?
It's been a while.
And third prong, when Munch was there, they had this pipeline of undrafted guys that Munch would develop to their strengths and play to their strengths. Ramon Foster, for example.
Mm-hmm. Chris Hubbard.
BJ Finney.
Finney to a degree.
Calvin Beachum was a seventh-round pick, so not
Finney
quite
started a lot of games.
But they had these guys that were undrafted that came along that Munch developed and eventually became millionaires because Munch developed them.
Yeah.
That's missing.
Yeah.
Okay, so all three of those things ain't happening anymore. And the constant change with offensive line coaches is a problem.
So I don't want to jump too far ahead here because we got a long way to go in this year.
A long way?
Long way.
Very long way. But let's just get to the end of the season and things stay status quo. Ryan, I mean, does your boy Art too walk down the staircase and say, Mike, we got to make some changes here, and we're going to hire the best people for the offensive defensive coordinator job. We're not hiring our buddies or any of that bullshit. Will that happen?
Do you think that Art would really say any of that bullshit?
I do not, but I just thought I would throw that in there just in the hopes that Ryan would give me a little Art 2 impersonation.
An 11-year-old that plays Madden all day is a better offensive coordinator than fucking Canada. So,
here's the jet sweep, Billy.
So here's what I'm going to say about that. How many years now in Art's post-game or post-season recap does he say, well, we didn't run the ball the way we wanted, but we're gonna focus on that next year. Art 2, and oh my God, the Bears just scored a touchdown.
Maybe down at the one.
But
no, he said he hit the pylon. Anyway, but my point being is that I don't necessarily know, if that's gonna be a conversation, but
every year Art says that we get worse though. Like he
said
that
when
Bell was here.
I know.
But my larger point becomes: so is it Tomlin or is it him?
That's a touchdown.
Is it Art?
No. So
how the fuck is it Art?
Because if he's allowing Tomlin to keep hiring these shit stains, then that becomes his problem too.
It comes down to not only coaching priorities but drafting priorities.
Wow.
signing UDFA priorities. It's all the way around. It's a problem. That's all I am saying.
Right.
It's fucking gigantic. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and let's not forget, like there's no salary cap on coaches. Art is the owner, has to actually pony up the money to hire a good coach.
Yes, he does. Because good
Right.
offensive coaches, especially offensive line coaches, are getting more and more expensive.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. One guy I did want to talk about tonight that we haven't really focused on was Najee Harris.
Oh, boy.
Well, do we all agree that he must be banged up?
Yeah, absolutely.
He hasn't been healthy all season.
Right. He's hurt. Something's not right.
His vision's been shit, too.
What has?
His vision.
Yeah. I mean, something is clearly not right. Reports were that he sat in his locker fully padded for 45 minutes. 90% of the team was already on the bus ready to go to the airport. He's still sitting there. Tomlin was talking to him. So he's frustrated. We get it. But, I mean, if Mike Tomlin is going to tell Tyson Alalu, hey, Tyson, I'm sorry you're not getting it done, I'm going with Adams, why can't he do that with Najee and Warren? Because Warren, as Ian, you pointed out, he might not hit the right hole, and he might get stopped for 2-yard loss, but by God, he's hitting it hard. And when he does, he's going to pick up 5 or 6. So what's the story here? Any of you?
I'll say this, that when they don't commit an offensive penalty, Warren might be getting like 15 or 20. But
holy shit.
Poor kid. Yeah.
Okay. That
I would just settle.
That Browns game goes completely differently if there's not that penalty. But
you're right.
4 fucking yards a carry, I'd be thrilled.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and like Warren is so much faster. He runs so much harder. He makes decisive decisions. Like Najee looks slow.
And goddamn, can he pass block?
Yes.
Woo!
Oh yeah.
Oh,
he loves it.
That's the other thing about Najee. That dude. I mean, he's barely doing enough, if that, to get Aaron. I agree with you. It's
a big part of it.
Listen, and I'm going to say this, and I've said this a long time. To me, the thing that's frustrating the most as a fan, because I was a fan long before I worked there, and I'll be a fan long after I worked there, is the smugness and the arrogance of this franchise. Like everything that they've done in the past is just somehow going to manifest. And they took Najee in the first round, and I feel that there's some arrogance in that they don't want to admit, that a undrafted rookie free agent running back, who I've been beating this drum for years now, please find a competent running back that can spell the RB1. But here we are, the RB2 is better than the RB1. And whether that RB1 is hurt or not doesn't matter. The point is that you wasted a first round pick, not wasted. You invested a first round pick on a running back when it's not 2015, 14. This isn't the days of Adrian Peterson and Todd Gurley. Le'Veon was a second round pick, but those days are gone. You get guys now. Tony Pollard's a 4th round pick. You can get guys not in the first round, especially when a guy named Creed Humphrey, you passed on him twice. Am I right or wrong? Yes,
you're right. Yeah, you're right. Twice. Yeah. No, and
they took Najee and then they took Freiermuth.
Boy, it'd be really
Creed
nice.
Humphrey's really, 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 really fucking good. God damn it.
But I was told
Tony Pollard, who's also better than the first round running back on his team.
But I would, yes.
I'm just saying that maybe, and maybe,
but
Mike Tomlin could make a statement by benching Najee Harris, because he needs to fucking bench somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But
he needs to bench someone and say, hey, if you're not getting it done, nobody's fucking safe. And he's got a better I don't want to say better, but he's got a good alternative behind Najee. If Najee's 100%, I think he's better than Jaylen Warren, but he's not 100%, which is why you sit his ass down.
What if you did sit him down and he was able to actually get healthy?
Yeah.
I mean, you're 1-4. What the hell do you got to lose right now?
I mean, we're gonna go 1-7, 2-8.
I mean,
it's gonna
Miami
happen.
at this point we're not winning this week, and I don't see us winning in Philly. We never play well there. They're hot.
No, the only
Miami's before Philly though, right?
Yeah.
Right. So Miami
Yeah.
might be playing
Depending-
freaking the ghost of Bob Greasy at quarterback.
I was
at
gonna
this
say
rate,
the only
but-
hope we have is if Tua doesn't play. In
Tua's
Miami.
going to be back.
Right.
He'll be back.
Right now, you'd think he would be.
If I were
but-
Tua, I would fucking retire. That's scary.
Fuck.
Yeah, it is. I doubt he will, but I get your point. We were talking earlier today about how we've been doing on our picks so far this year. My pick I put at the end of the 3-point stance every week when I publish that, so that's easy for me to remember because I'm 3-2 right now in my picks. So I'm trying to think of who started last week. Did I start with Ryan last week?
No, I finished.
You finished. Okay.
So Ryan should go first.
Right. So therefore, Ryan, your prediction for Sunday as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady come into Acrisure Stadium.
Tampa Bay Tom Brady's.
The Tampa Bay, the Tampa Toms.
Acrisure is hell not calling it that.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
yeah.
they haven't even won in the place yet.
Yeah. Here, you know what? I'm gonna even go even bolder here. Mike Evans 2-tutty day,
Oh God.
and then I think that I still think Mike Evans would have 2 tutties, but I think the Bucs are gonna actually run the ball a lot. So I'm not gonna go as high scoring as I thought. I'm gonna go with 27-13 Bucs.
Okay. All right. 27-13 Bucks.
Only because they run the ball.
Okay.
They
Take some time off the clock.
Yes.
Okay. Ian, go ahead.
Oh boy.
You're
Yeah,
1-4, by the way.
I'm 1-4. I suck at
I'm
this.
2
Don't
and
listen
3.
to me. Well, Tom Brady is the winningest visiting quarterback at Heinz Field history.
Yep.
I think we
What's he called?
established that.
Heinz Field.
Tied with Flacco. He's
No,
tied with
he has one more than Flacco.
I thought
think.
but they both have 6. I looked it up the other day, including the postseason. They both have 6.
I thought it was like 7-6. Whatever.
All right,
Okay.
okay.
Be that as it
Whatever
may.
it is.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, we ain't winning this game. And it's not going to be pretty. I will say I think Boswell gets back on track though. I think last week was an aberration for the kicking game. That it was windy as hell there. His first kick looked like me trying to take a driver off the first tee and just going poo, way off to the right. And he made the field goal, but I think it scared him because the second one he kicked it to the left, expecting the wind to carry it back to the middle, and it just hung out there the whole time.
Mhm.
And then but I think Boswell will be fine. I think the wind just got in his head last week. I do think we'll find the end zone this week somehow.
Mhm.
Maybe that means throwing it to George Pickens every play. I don't know. Maybe Zach Gentry will score a touchdown. Who knows? Because teams don't want to cover him because they're like, who the fuck would throw to Zach Gentry? And then
Right.
somehow he's open. Although I'll say this, Gentry has gotten a lot better in his career.
He covers a lot of ground.
He does. He does. He's actually shown some things this year.
And he's a very large man.
He is a large man. Yeah. I'm gonna go with. All right, I'm gonna go with Buccaneers 34,
Oh,
Steelers 10.
Holy
God.
shnikes, that's a
Wow.
blowout. And Ben, what do you
So-
got, man?
so you're saying that Chris Boswell gets back on track and kicks 1 field goal? All right.
Yeah, but it'll be like a 52-yarder because that's what we do.
Oh, well, I can't
okay.
disagree with that.
All right.
Yeah.
This game is when you get done with the game, I'm going to look at all of you and I'm going to say, you taste that? That's what shit tastes like.
Be a lot of that this year.
I fucking hate Tom Brady. I hate that he's so good at Twitter. I hate that he's good at football. I fucking hate him.
He's no longer good at marriage.
He's no longer good at marriage. Honestly, that's not anything to celebrate. That's fucking horrible.
I know that's lightning.
it's-
Yeah,
It's awful, man. I don't wish that on anyone.
I don't either, and I hope it doesn't happen.
Even a
honestly.
fucking douchebag like Brady. who was always a douchebag I was destined to hate because he played for the Patriots and tortured me for years.
Mm-hmm. All of us.
I am going to go with Tampa Bay 34, Steelers 13
so you got on me when I predicted one
with
less
Chris
field goal.
Boswell kicking 2 field goals from the 40 to 50 yard range, and Kenny actually getting a touchdown at some point. But that defense is really fucking good. I mean, they're so good, and our defensive backfield is hobbled. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but the Steelers can't get any pressure on the quarterback.
Who's that too?
So I don't really see a lot of that happening. Maybe 1 or 2 quarterback hits. Maybe they'll probably get flagged, both of them, because it's Tom Brady. And he's 45, so they got to protect him.
Right.
Yeah. So it's
osteoporosis.
It ain't going to be pretty. We should
I'm
all emotionally prepare ourselves for a really fucked up game. This is going to suck.
I think Scarps was on the ball there. I think they're going to run it heavy with Fournette a little bit, set up Brady with the play action. I got 33-16. I'm going to go 33-16. And take
the Bucks and the points.
Take the points, baby. Now before we go,
here we go.
We do have yet another special appearance by the late great Casey Kasem, who is going
Tales from the Crypt.
Who's going to walk us down memory lane.
It's almost Halloween.
Casey, the mic is yours.
I'm on the spot. I love it. And now it's time for this week's long distance dedication. The week of October 13th, 1973. Ryan from Pittsburgh writes, Dear Casey, I firmly believe if the rules allowed the Bills to start in their own end zone, Josh Allen would have thrown a 106-yard strike to Gabe Davis. I also believe Mike Tomlin was ready to send out Chris Boswell to try an 83-yard field goal. Many Steelers fans are showing their age by continuing to comment that this is rock bottom. They obviously weren't around in the 80s or remember the Kent Graham days. It's looking pretty grim, Casey. Fans don't seem to think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are, quote, that good, quote. I've been hearing the opponent isn't, quote, that good, quote, for the last 4 games, and that hasn't turned out too well. It's not like they have a top 10 defense or a Hall of Fame quarterback that's made a habit of torturing Steelers fans for years. And by the way, his old lady left him as if he needed any more ammunition. Casey, it's getting dark, too dark to see. Well, Ryan, here's one for you from Bob Dylan. Up 6 spots this week, the number 20 is knocking on heaven's door.
Well done, Casey Kasem.
Oh God, that was rough, man.
Knocking on heaven's door. That is for
we're about dead.
Shit. My God.
All right, so I have to ask Ryan, since you picked the song, which version is better?
Don't even. I mean, listen,
Dylan's.
Man, I mean, okay.
Seeing
like,
you
pick one.
Oh no, I mean oh, that's not true though, because I prefer Jimi Hendrix Experience Watchtower,
right,
over Dylan's, but I don't know. I like that. Excuse me. I like the Guns N' Roses version, but I don't like it as much as Dylan's.
Yeah. Not getting easy. Yeah, we've pretty much fallen off the rails here. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Not as usual. What we need to do is like incorporate this into an overtime deal and go live again for another 2 hours.
Well, yeah, if we could start earlier once in a while, yeah. Anyway, that's it for us tonight. Thanks for joining. Thanks for our live audience jumping on, and we really appreciate it.
Absolutely appreciate it.
Yep,
Thank you.
Continue to follow along with the site at steelcityblitz.com, on Twitter at SC Blitz, Facebook, of course, and podcast Twitter account is at SCB_podcast. So for all these guys, this is Steel Dad signing off. And hey, go Steelers!
Ravens suck.
Well, they're better than us.